Hopefully everyone can hear me, right? I said I would not need the microphone. I'm going to use my teacher voice. So, it was very humbling to be asked to do this. And, it's sad because people are starting to view Beaver Falls in a negative light. But that is not the way it has always been. And I don't feel that it has to stay this way. I truly believe that we as a community can bring this city back to the way it once was and make it a city that our future generations will be happy to tell their stories about when they experience things through the eyes of a tiger. Big tiger roar here, Felix. So, I'm going to go back through time, and I'm going to start with my early years. She cute. Down by which is Providence, South School, and I believe Rocky Washington made reference to this when he spoke. I went to elementary K through 6 at South Elementary School. And at that time, if you had straight A's in 2nd grade, you were permitted to take another language. So starting in 2nd grade, I started to take French. Je parle très petit peu de français. And that is a result of the Beaver Falls School District. I don't think they still do it at such a young age, but it was really awesome that I could start in 2nd grade, and I went all the way through the 11th grade. And if you remember Mrs. Osmond, anybody have Mrs. Osmond? When I first got hired in the Beaver Falls School District, she would run up in the hallways and say something to me in French, and the other teachers would say, oh, she doesn't take her. She said, oh, she knows what I'm saying. So, because she remembered having me as a student. So that was part of my early years, and as you can see, we're all different races together at a Christmas. I believe I might have been between 10 and 12 there, just having a good time. We didn't see color then. We just had friends. That's just how it was. At age 10, I believe that's when things were happening in the Civil Rights Movement, when I was 10. And Martin Luther King Jr. was shot in Memphis on a balcony. There's riots in D.C., Baltimore, and Chicago. However, in my little corner of the world here, my life was good. I was kind of sheltered from all of that, the things that were happening with people in the Civil Rights Movement. I'm sure there was prejudice, but I just wasn't experiencing it in my hometown, in my school. So I was fortunate there. As you can see, when I went to the middle school from elementary, this was the middle school. I had to dig hard to find this. That stood where Wendy's now is. And it had a big courtyard that you probably was facing that side more, we're facing the McDonald's side. And we would go out in that courtyard at lunch, and we would just play and have fun and just talk, whatever we wanted to do. But we could go outside if the weather was nice. And from that middle school, I guess I was in what was called a district choir. It was Beaver Falls, Newcastle, and Midland. Churches all came together, made a big district choir. Keeping in mind, at 10, I'm probably between 12 and 14, there were all these riots because of the Civil Rights Movement. The choir was invited to go to Memphis, Tennessee. And my mother could not stop warning me enough. She just kept going, oh, don't look anybody in the eye. Say yes ma'am and no ma'am to everybody, even if it's somebody serving you in a restaurant. And I'm looking at her like she has 10 heads, like, what are you talking about? Because I was so removed from all of that drama that even though my parents were aware of it and they were trying to prepare me that you're leaving this state, more so your community, where you're safe, you're protected, and you need to know and be prepared for what you're going to face when you travel with the church choir. Fortunately, the trip went well. No problems, that was good. Still, it took me a lot of years to understand why my mother was so nervous. And that's all because of where I lived. Blessed once again. The high school, I had another different experience. Of course, this is now a middle school. That was my high school. At that time, they offered photography. And there was a dark room. So I actually got to go into this dark room with Mr. Hicks, not the one you know now. This, he was, I don't know, did he pass? I think he did. Passed.
He taught math.
Yes, I'm pretty sad.
No.
First names, well, we weren't allowed to call them by their first names, so that's what
It'll come to me. No, those are not Donnie Hicks.
Actually, he was incredible because not only did he teach us how to take the pictures, He taught us how to develop the pictures. And if anybody is familiar with the library in the high school, which is now middle school, there was this little room that looks like a closet right inside the doors of that library. That was our dark room. And we would go right in that dark room. For some reason, I thought I wanted to make this giant picture of myself. This thing was god-awful huge. It was as tall as I am now, and probably yay wide. We did it in black and white. Well, this is a small little closet-type room. So here we are, me and Mr. Hicks, in this room, and he's got the developing stuff on the floor, and I'm on one side of the pan, he's on the other, and we're just pulling this through, back and forth, trying to develop this huge picture, but we did it. We accomplished it. And then the wood shop built a frame for it. And then now what do you do with a life-size picture of yourself? But it was just a challenge that we wanted to see. Can we blow it up that big? And can we actually develop it ourselves? And it worked. It was awesome. At that time also, when I was in high school, our gym class had archery. We would go outside and the big targets were all lined up and I learned how to shoot a bow and arrow. That was so much fun. They actually, too, did gymnastics. Not to the level where we could compete or anything, but we had the pommel horse, we had the trampoline, and we learned how to use that pommel horse. And we got graded on that. So there were just a lot of different things that we were exposed to that I'm not sure I would have been exposed to it if I were in another school district, starting from a very early age. That's another perk of growing up in Beaver Falls. I was exposed to numerous things that kind of made me more curious about what else was available to me. And we should always do that, encourage our children to see what else is available to them. So my freshman year, that brings me, I'm still in high school. Don't do any math here, okay? My freshman year was 1973. Stop adding. And at that time, that's when I first started to get a taste of, oh, guess what? There is racism somewhere here, hiding, lurking, and it reared its ugly head. And that was when the split between Beaver Falls and Black Hawk happened. And it's pretty much kind of not well known anymore, or people just stopped talking about it, or they forgot. I don't know what caused this, but at some point, some parents decided they didn't want their children in school with children that looked like me. A little too brown for them. So they found this crazy little border. I mean, if you ever look at the plan, it's just all zigzaggy and crazy looking because they divided it the way they wanted it. So the split was they left our high school, they built their own high school, and we were still just fine. Life went on. Of course, I was still kind of somewhat clueless, too sheltered maybe, but it did become very evident later on. The other thing that I can attribute to right now as an English teacher is the great English teacher I had in high school, and that was Jerry Selby. She's a legend in English department. She was awesome. I had Jerry Selby, my daughter had Jerry Selby, my son had Jerry Selby. I mean, everybody had her. And we just thought she'd always be there, that she would never ever leave. Unfortunately, she retired because I leaned on her even when I got hired. When I first got hired, I taught at the middle school for 10 years. I would call the high school and ask Jerry Selby if I were getting certain things right in grammar. And she would just laugh and she would tell me, yeah, you're okay or whatever. And then she, at one point, it must have been my 6th phone call, she's like, you know, you're okay. I taught you this stuff. You know this, I taught you. And she was absolutely right. I can think back to when I took my SATs and ACTs, when you first have that initial panic, because the test is like, oh no. And then I started to get this calm. And it was like, I've seen this before. And then my brain said, yes, you did. Miss Selby's class. You've seen it before. So her great education in English helped me a lot through college and actually teaching English myself. Now I have Jerry's old room. Look at how that came. Full circle. We now go to what I remember as the downtown business section. If you look, who remembers these? Nobody here is old enough for that, right? There was actually, I remember a green stamp store on 7th Avenue.
Yes.
Because my mother would save those up, and then I couldn't wait to go to the green stamp store with her because I was going to get to pick something out. So we would fill up our little book, and we'd go to that green stamp store on 7th Avenue. Benson's was a really big, fancy store. It had an elevator. You could actually ride in that, and there was a person operating it, like at the fancy hotel. So Benson is where you went for your upper shopping, you know, when you were going to get something high-end. The youth center, even when I had my children, I went to the youth center for my daughters. They had the best clothing for children anywhere. You never had to leave and go to Pittsburgh for anything. It was right on our main street on 7th Avenue. Shoppers World. I remember that one.
I worked there.
Really?
I worked at 4 of those stores.
Wow.
Yes,
You're not old enough.
Yes, oh, yeah.
The Granada Mini Mall was actually really a mall. There were really shops in there. Isley's Ice Cream, J.C. was downtown at one point. Cottage's Toy Store was a favorite. It was that little red building, and it was kind of next to Isley's, if I remember correctly.
This and that.
It's Muffy's now.
Oh, is that-
Yeah,
It's Muffy's now.
Yeah, so I'd go into Cottage's and just look around after school, come out, tell my parents what I saw that I liked. And we had, how many, 1, 2, 3, so 3 supermarkets? City Market, A&P was where that job center is now, and Foodland. On Sundays, everything was shut down. If you didn't get gas on Saturday night, you just didn't get gas. You better fill up and be ready because everything's shut down on Sunday. And one of my fondest memories, because where the old McDonald's used to be, it's now where the car dealer is. We used to, I lived across the street, we used to walk down to Foodland on Sunday because it was closed. And we'd put on our roller skates and we would roller skate all over that parking lot. It was the neatest thing. So it's kind of like sad that everything's so busy now on Sundays. We don't have that downtime where you can just breathe and enjoy life. Simple things like skating in a Foodland parking lot. Our children are missing out on that. But that's part of what helped shape me, being able to do little things like that. We also had thriving businesses like B&W, J&L, Marichina. Armco and Arco are easy to confuse. Armco was in Ambridge and Arco was down past the mall. So one made latex, Armco was more of a steel mill. Conway Yards, all of these were bringing in a lot of money for a lot of people. But unfortunately, when the mills went down, there was a lot of unemployment also, and people started to move to find jobs elsewhere. Fortunately for me, the reason I was here in the first place is because my dad took a job at Conway Yards. And that didn't suffer when the steel mills went down. They were still okay. So I was here instead of Steubenville, Ohio, just because of the employment that my dad sought. And he found a house down in the lower end, and that's where I've been all my life. Well, now I'm on College Hill. That's torn down, but that's where I was. For dining and entertainment, the Red Bull Inn. Anybody ever eat that? Oh my God, wasn't that delicious?
Lobster
Yep.
pot.
Oh my goodness. That was just the best place to go eat. There was an Eaton Park downtown on the corner. There was a KFC down at the lower end, walking distance from my house again. The Penny Candy Store was kind of near South School, very conveniently located to children. So you get your load of candy on the way to school, your load of candy on the way home from school. There were 2 swimming pools. Solomon's was down where Tabernacle is, and then the wave pool wasn't really a wave pool, it was just a pool at that time. But we had 2, one down near Tabernacle and one up on the hill. There was a for real movie theater. Yeah, downtown.
There were 3.
3 of them.
3 or 4.
That's before my time.
Yeah.
I remember the one when I was in high school. It was right downtown, and I actually went to see that. And the carnivals, that Bridge Street, underneath the bridge, kind of back in that area, we had big carnivals back in that area. Took up that whole end. They were the best carnivals ever. The parades that came down 7th Avenue, you would not believe the bands. Every band from every neighboring community and sometimes from other states were in these parades. And they always had step teams. They had the boy step teams and the girls. And we just couldn't wait to see those men come down the street. Oh, they were something to see. It was if you know anything about fraternities with the step teams, these guys marching down the street made the fraternity step teams look like child's play. They were something. And we had a band and a drum line that would not quit. Oh, we were known for that drum line. It was something. And the band, when you saw it, you know, ours is kind of small now, but when I was in high school and you saw our high school band, it just kept going and going and going. It took us 4 buses to go somewhere. That's how large the band was. 4 large student buses to transport the band. We took a trip to Dearborn, Michigan, and this is another memory that I chuckle when I think about it. One of our chaperones was Big John Jackson. And I don't think now police officers chaperone band trips, but at that time, he went with us, and you know, in our bus, he sat in the back with the guys, and they're playing their music, and I'll never forget him singing Parliament Funkadelic with the guys. It was the funniest thing ever. But it also was the fact that, at that time, he could correct anybody's child like they were his child. So he was comfortable going. He knew he could correct us, tell us we better get home or whatever. I mean, and nobody was going to give him any lip. It was just how we were raised. You respect that authority. And he was fine with it. He said, I can go with them, I got this. Can we go to the next slide? Oh, the Surfbox Derby, I almost forgot that. Anybody ever been to one? Did you have a car? Yeah. You know how it goes down? You get that. They would have Surfbox Derby races down that incline, down the hill. That was another. I used to tell my dad I wanted to build a car and enter it. Of course, he started on it. I don't know whatever happened with that. I never actually got to enter, but he did. He tried to start on it. And the baton twirlers. Does that even happen anymore? We had the majorettes that would spin 2 batons, light them on fire, toss them. It was just a whole different time. It's sad that some of the children have lost interest in that. You don't see people saying, I want to learn to twirl a baton, or I'm going to just go race in a Surfbox Derby. I think they're still out there somewhere. We just don't have them anymore. And this brings me now to my career. Oh no, that doesn't bring me to my career. I had miscellaneous things. Providence was the only real hospital. That's where there was no medical center yet, so we really went there when we needed to be treated. Solly Motors is now Ron Lewis, but it was Solly's at the time. Chansky's Junkyard, sounds funny, but it was a big part of the community. They would fix your car, sell you parts for anything that you felt you needed a part that was broken, not just your car, and they actually were very helpful with that end of the town. They would look out for the neighbors' houses that were along the same street with them. We would make sure that everybody kept an eye on everybody else, all down on that 9th Avenue end. And I already mentioned that everything was closed on Sunday, so we can just go forward from there. There's my first job. This is really tragic that they tore that down. That was a historical landmark.
Yes, it was.
And I was very stunned when it got leveled. I was sure somebody was going to put up a plaque. You don't see these any. This is the original McDonald's. And the cute thing was, right over here, kind of where behind that tree, that's where I lived. Directly across the street. So when I got my first job, it was kind of hard for me to duck out of work. They could kind of look through all those windows and say, oh, she's over there. At that time, my dad had, then this sounds spoiled, I'm going to do it. He bought me a Mustang. And I did not like the color, it was yellow. And another young lady in high school had a yellow car. Well, I can't have a yellow car, she has a yellow car. So I whined and he painted it bright orange. The interior was black. So I was literally bleeding black and orange. You know, I still had that Tiger pride going. That car was a dead giveaway because if you see this bright orange car in front of that house, oh, I'm home. If I'm going down the street, you see that orange blur go by. It had a race car engine in it. He never had it redone for me. So it would go. That thing went a good 140 miles an hour. Yeah, I remember my mother now. Jean, she's going to kill herself. So, but it was my car. And that's how they knew when I was at home. They'd look out the window, and if they were short, somebody called off, they would just ring the phone and don't dare say I'm not there because that car's sitting out front. And part of the community relationship also was, they had a water problem once. So what did they do? Did they shut down? No, they did not. They walked across the street and they asked my mother, may we use your kitchen? Of course, she said. So now we've got people in my kitchen washing all of the trays and stuff that McDonald's used just to keep it going until they got their water fixed. So from that it led to, if they saw my mother come home and she had groceries, the managers would leave and run out and meet her and carry her groceries in the house. It was just such a nice working community. Everybody looked out for everybody. Even though that was my job, those were my employers, they were more like neighbors. We helped each other. So that was a pretty interesting time. And also from there, after high school, I did not want to teach. No. I wanted to be in communications. I have a bachelor's in communications. I wanted to be the person that you lock in the editing suite, just say, here's the footage, put it all together, make it happen for the newscast. And then I would just pass it back out the door. It's done, here, go. I interned in the KDK newsroom for 6 months, right downtown Pittsburgh. Of course, you know interns do not get paid. So, I was using all of my savings to park, eat, get gas, the whole bit. 6 months go by, and I'm thinking, you do interns because you get your foot in the door and then people start to say, hey, hire that girl. I watched 14 to 24 people get laid off at KK. Technology happened. Oh, we don't need 3 cameramen. We can put 1 person in a control booth, those 3 jobs are gone. So as I watched this happen, I started to realize, chance of me working here is slim and next to none, and Slim's out of town. So there had to be a plan B. Enter George Potter. Anyone remember Mr. Potter? Awesome principal. When I first met Mr. Potter was when I was in the middle school, and I think he was just the assistant principal then. But by the time I was trying to figure out, oh, what am I going to do now? I need a plan B. I had gone back to finish my college degree late. My son was in the 8th grade, and my daughter, who was 4 years older, was in the high school. So as I volunteered at the school, parent aide for my son, Mr. Potter starts this. You need to go back to school and get certified to teach. I'm like, I don't want to do that, Mr. Potter. You need to go back to school and get certified to teach. I'm like, why would I do that? He said, you know what? These children need someone that they can relate to. You grew up here. You know the community. You know a lot of the families. They need someone. And he said, just like someone reached back for you and helped you, it's your turn to reach back and help someone else. How do you say no to that? So I went back to school, and I got teaching added on to my certification. And fortunate for me, with the communications degree, you have enough English credits that I didn't have to redo all of that. I just needed to add teaching onto it. So I go to my interview to work at the Beaver Falls School District, and I'll never forget looking around that my kids think just one-on-one interviews are bad. You go into a teaching interview, the whole board is around the table. The principals are all there from the buildings, all of them, and they're all looking at you. So, of course you get the question, why is it we should hire you over all these other candidates? And I just, without blinking, responded, come on, I'm the hometown favorite. Who else would you hire? And then I saw these faces like, so my brain's going, uh-oh. They didn't see the humor in that. So I had to think quick. And I said, okay, here's the deal. I grew up in Beaver Falls. I know the district. I went through this district as a student. My children have gone through this district as students. Who better to teach here than someone who knows your district this well? And then I saw the smiles come. I'm like, saved it. And I saved it all, because there for a minute they're like, ooh. But, and I guess I didn't because I'm employed. So I must have been okay. I taught at the middle school for 10 years, and I mentioned Jerry Selby. When she retired, Mary Jane Ryan also retired the same year, and she was another fantastic English teacher. When I had her, she was Miss Zerkute. Yeah, spell that when you write your teacher's name. But she was great. She was awesome. The two of them together kind of got me through a lot of English. But they both retired at the same time, and I said, you know what, that door is not going to swing open anymore. When they go, whoever goes over there, they're going to stay till they retire. So at that point, I crossed the street from the middle school over to the high school. But I tried that 1 year before, and Mr. Potter shot it down. He said, no, you can't go. And the principals have to agree. And when he said no, that door shut. But he had retired the second time I tried it, so I did it. I was like, oh, I'm going, I'm out of here. I need bigger kids. I need older kids. I need more maturity. And this is the good thing about our high school. I mentioned that, you know, people look at us negatively now. But how many people know that our high school is equipped with laptops pretty much in every classroom for every student? You know, we're very high technology high school. They sit at long tables and each student has a laptop. And I have the ability to shut them down if I want to. Tell me about technology. Oh, you're not wrong. Push the button. I can send them a message that says you're off task, or I can just lock them out or shut them off. So it's not such a burden, because we can see on our screen what they're doing on their screen and decide from there what to do. So that's a really good, that was a perk. You know, I could go over to the high school. The middle school didn't have that. The high school had carpet. The middle school didn't have that. The high school had air conditioning. The middle school didn't have that. And then I got to go on cool trips. I got to go to Dave & Buster's instead of field day out back. It was so much nicer to be with the older kids. Although the younger ones were fun, but when you teach younger kids, you become unfit to speak to adults. You find yourself speaking like you speak to them and acting like them. You could always tell the middle school teachers that act 80 days because we were acting just like our students. So, you know, now I'm more mature because I'm in high school. But our school, pretty much the students, I have a couple here tonight from my public speaking class, and you will notice they are rating my speech right now. So hopefully I'm getting so, and they're awesome. We actually had a student teacher one year, Emily Bester from Geneva. She was probably graduated before any of the Geneva students here. You remember Emily? No, she was graduated then. Now, here's the thing about our community. If you listen to the rumors and the negative things people say, you will be a little bit nervous about coming into Beaver Falls High School. So she was a little bit like, oh, I don't know. I think she expected to see graffiti all over the wall, or maybe some chalk outlines of bodies on the floor. I don't know. But when she became my student teacher, it took maybe a month and a half before she felt comfortable sharing this with me. But after a month and a half, we're just sitting in our planning session, and she said, you know what? This is not at all what I expected. I expected to just, within the first week, leave and not finish this and say, I'm going to go become an attorney. That was her teacher, attorney, come on. But that's what she said she was going to do. And she said when she got in there and saw how nice the building was, how accepting and warm and welcoming the students were, and how it was nothing like people painted that picture of the all negative vibe, she loved it. She said, I knew from that point on it was my calling. I'm going to teach. And right now she's employed in Colorado as a teacher. She loved it. She said she also would hear people saying nasty little negative things about Beaver Falls, and she would shut them down. You don't know. You haven't been in there. They are nothing like that. She stood up for our community, and she wasn't even from our community. And that's the sad thing. It's a lot of people in our community that's tearing down our community. So if we want it to get back to the way where I remember all of the greatness and the community working together, a village raising a child, you could correct other people's children and they didn't cuss you out, they appreciated it. You didn't get smart with your teacher because your teacher called home, you better believe that, okay, mom's going to handle that, dad's going to handle that, you just didn't do it. If we want to get back to that, we have to stop the negative talking. We have to shut it down when we hear people saying, oh, they have all this violence. Okay, things happen, but it's not every single day. And it's not rampant in our schools. We are getting this picture, and they'll tell you, I tell them all the time, stop. You are feeding the stereotype that people are painting of us. You don't want to feed that stereotype, you want to stop the stereotype. Stop doing that. But I'm one teacher, and I see how many kids. I need more people to tell these young folks, stop it. Some people think, oh yeah, I get street creds if I brag and act like we live in Compton. They don't know nothing about living in the ghetto. This is, I know my husband switched the slide. I look back and went, oh. This is part of my career after George Potter. We have the opportunity to march in commencement, the teachers. If you've ever been to commencement, you'll see the teachers march out first, and then they separate, the students come in, we're on either side of them. So this graduating class, for the ones I was closest with, when I went from the middle school to the high school, I had been with one group of kids. I taught them in 7th grade, I taught them in 8th grade. I crossed the street, I got them back in 9th grade. Somehow I skipped their 10th grade year, got them back in 11th grade, and then my schedule changed again, I got them back as seniors. We were together a long time. So of course, I have to see them through graduation. And they were all like, what are you gonna do when you go to college? You're not gonna like anybody after us. But you know, I did. And this, they're gonna laugh. This is my hall pass. The seniors like to play pranks where every year they steal the teachers' hall passes.
Yeah.
So I said, okay. I took the wooden one that we all have, some are orange, some are black, and they all have paw prints on them and our room number. And I shoved it in a drawer. And I pulled this out. That is solid wood. A student made it in shop class. It's solid, it's heavy, it's awkward. The cheerleaders painted it, and I wrote 315 hall pass on the back of it. And I said, go ahead, have at it. Still my hall pass. Don't you know they did? I left, we locked our doors, I locked my door. My cheerleader was in my locked room. I come in the next day, I flip on the lights. There's my cheerleader. So I knew there had to be an adult involved on this because, you know, I had my keys. Somebody let somebody in. So I'm on this search. You can't hide this thing. So I'm interrogating everybody. I'm blaming the basketball players because I figured it was one of them. And finally, they got tired of me nagging them. One of them cracked and said, okay, I'm not going to tell you who took it, but I am going to tell you your cheerleader was walking down 7th Avenue. After school, I saw her head down 7th Avenue. Now I'm going through my grade book looking for everybody that lives in that direction. Never did figure it out. So it comes time, I hadn't gotten here yet, to Grand March. Mr. Lehman sent me a text. You'll never believe who's at commencement. I'm thinking who? I'm thinking some celebrity. What? Who's there? I said who? She said you just have to come see. You'll never believe. Wasn't my hall pass ready to march at commencement? So I asked Mrs. Lehman. I said, is she going to march? She said, well, somebody carries her all over. But nobody wanted to carry her, so she stayed in the cafeteria. And after we had graduation, I put her in the passenger seat, strapped her in her little seatbelt, safety first, and she rode with me all weekend until I got her back to school. I just could not believe they did that. They really got it. And it was this young lady here that took it, and that's why we're posing with it. So for the next slide. This is furthering my career beyond teaching. As Jolie mentioned, I'm part of a women's cadre, and we actually train women to take leadership roles. And we teach things like assertive communication, self-esteem, dressing for success, just things that would empower women in what might be sometimes male-dominated fields. So we try to do that. It always changes on me. I'm so used to teaching assertive communication that I could do that in my sleep. And then for some reason they flipped on me at this one. They made me do self-esteem. Okay, because you know, I struggle with that. So, but it was okay. And it travels around. It's not always in the same spot. I've been to New Orleans, Dallas, key places around the Pittsburgh area, Boston. We do go a lot of places with this, and it's just at a request needed basis. So the next one is, remember I said I get to do big kid fun stuff? I get to do prom now. So these are various proms that I chaperone. This young lady wore the same size shoe as I did. I liked the shoes. I felt the need to steal them. So it was just, we have a good time at prom. And the funny thing is, I'm going to go ahead and confess to this. If you look at all these hairstyles, this one compared to, you can't tell that's real curly and short. And then there's this pulled back look with bangs. The students are off when they get ready for prom, but the teachers come to school. So they're out all day and they're getting pretty and cute. Well, when I get off, I got what, an hour or so to get showered, changed, ready, look cute. So what they look forward to now is what wig is Mrs. Jones going to put on to pass off as her hairdo, because that's how I do my hair for prom. I find one, go, psh, go, gone. So they start to look, because once they realized you could not possibly have cut your hair that short between 4 o'clock and now and got it styled, they finally figured it out. I'm like, oh, okay. So now they just asked me what am I going to wear, and they requested that this one never come back. So, next slide. We, especially being married to the chief, like to give back to the community. And as Julie was speaking about Community Crime Watch Day, this is just a little picture. The Pirate Parrot loves to come to Community Crime Watch Day. Iceberg comes, and we had Dennis Petrandria. This year, Dennis was Biffus, and he came. So this whole day is about letting the community know what is available to them, the services available, and things like the fire department set a stove on fire. Kids 12 and under, they teach them how to use a fire extinguisher to put that stove out, which is a very good skill to have. They have the bomb squad robot going through the crowd. One year he was giving out, had in the claw, a bag of Tootsie Rolls. It was going through the crowd giving out candy. We have big brothers and sisters there. We have the SWAT team comes. We used to land a helicopter, but Geneva, you put up new lights. Those lights in the parking lot, the blades can't clear. We don't get the helicopter anymore. The blades gotta come down. It's interfering with my chopper. So, but we start with a parade. It starts down in Tiger Alley, gotta start in Tiger Alley, and then it now takes the route from Tiger Alley to 7th, up 7th, and then into Geneva's Archway. Sirens are blaring. It's just something to see, because everybody comes out to see, why are all these sirens going off? All the fire trucks, the police cars that are available, they're all in this procession, and last year the Pirate Parrot was in the cherry picker of the fire truck. So it's a good event. If you can make it at all, it's August 6th, I gotta put my plug in. And we have usually the boosters organizations, basketball, football, they will do something like candy, water, burgers, so they raise money for the kids. We have any other nonprofit organization that wants to come up, like Young Life, they'll have a table, give out information. And Renee has graced us several times. She's come up, just packed up her shop and brought things up as a vendor. But this year I think she's going to flip it on me, which is awesome too, and do crafts with the kids, which is even better. That's much better. She's going to partner with Jerry McCoy, and they're going to do crafts this year. Vendors, I post this on PA vendors from everywhere, start to come up, and it's getting bigger every year. And they get a little spot, and they sell different little things. It's really a good time. The Charlie's Pizza comes, and the good thing about them, they work with the community. We did not ask for this. We asked them to come and just like pass out discount coupons. They came, and they saw what was going on, and the manager called his shop and said, start bringing me up pizzas. So this was all shocking to us. So we're like, okay, that's fine, we'll make a little profit. They were selling pizza for $1 a slice. But what really touched us is when they got it all counted and were done, they turned around and donated it back to that day. They took none of the profit. So we made them the unofficial pizza vendor. So we always let them have first dibs on can you come. Hanks actually works with us. They give ice cream, and the police officers started out handing it out just because people think they can't talk to them. They're unapproachable. That's not true. Not at all. They are people that I try to tell my students go home and play video games just like they do. So talk to them sometime. You might see them in a different light, and that was part of the plan. They get to meet any police officers that can make it that day. They're in plain clothes, but they have their badge around their neck, and the ones that are on duty, when they're not busy, they come up. You can meet them. The mayor's there usually and opens the whole thing. People from Geneva are there. You can take a tour. We have the DA comes sometimes. We have different representatives from different things. The women's shelter. It's just a whole lot of it. I just got an email today from UPMC Children. They'll be there this year. So they made little first aid kits. They had all the stuff, and the kids put it together themselves and made their own first aid kits. So it's always something really cool and interesting going on at that day. And this, of course, we had to show our support for small businesses downtown. And it was a nasty day. Well, it was kind of a sleety type cold rain. But we started at one end and went down the side of the street, and then kind of crossed over and came back up. And we tried to stop in everywhere and just spend a couple dollars of my husband's money. I had a great day. It was awesome. I'm like, this is sweet. He's not even saying anything. Okay. So we really enjoyed that. And that's another thing people should realize, that try stopping in some of these places. That there are some really cool, interesting things that you can buy right in town if you just give it a chance. You know, I ended up in Wolves. Oh man, I did damage. They had a clearance sale going on. Oh my. So not only did I get shoes, my daughter-in-law got shoes, everybody was getting a pair of shoes because they were such a good price. But it's just part of giving back. And anytime we can, we like to find something that we can do to give back to the community. In fact, with my husband's retirement, he would not let me schedule it anywhere that was not located in the city limits, which presented a big issue for me because he knows too many people. So when you're trying to fit Berkshire, unfortunately they closed, that would have been perfect. So you're trying to fit a whole lot of people into where? Because I can't take it out of the community. We're staying in the community. Unfortunately, Bill's Valhalla, 15010 zip code, can't accommodate a party this large. So we're in the community, we're staying here. We're going to make that happen. What we also need to remember is that when something's going on, just to get the community back, please do not look the other way and nobody knows anything and nobody says anything. We have to not look at it as snitching. We have to look at it as we're taking our city back. We want to clean it up. The police have made progress, but they can't do anything if we don't tell them, this is where you need to start looking. And there are a lot of people I know looking the other way. And then they want to complain. Well, don't complain. You're contributing to it with your silence. So that's one big key. Stop spreading the rumors and say something when you know things aren't right in a certain area. Speak up. Do not hesitate to call. I would like to now let you know, anybody catch my introduction? Oh, see, that was a test. Did you remember my introduction? I gave my public speaking class, because I'm always on them, your introductions stink. I don't even clean it up, they totally stink. Those conclusions are lousy, they're horrible. So I gave them the assignment. I said, okay, here's my topic, here's what I have to do. You are going to write, each of you, an individual killer intro for me. I'm going to use the one that's the best. So it ended up, there were so many, I had to mush them together to come up with that one, the one I used tonight. So these are two of my students from my public speaking class. So then I flipped it with the conclusion. I did the same thing. I said, so, you just kind of say, that's it, I'm done, unacceptable. Now you're going to learn to write a conclusion using my speech. See, I was kind of smart here, wasn't I? So, I'm now going to leave you with one of their conclusions. See if they know whose it is. I sincerely would like to thank all of you who came out to listen to me this evening. I hope that if you take anything from this, it is the knowledge that Beaver Falls can be a lovely town where you can raise a family. It can still be that. Because all we have to do is remember, once a tiger, always a tiger.
Amen.